First of all, we want to express our sincere condolences to the victim's family. A person lost their life yesterday morning, and we think it's important to keep focus on that as we talk about this tragic event. We're deeply saddened for everyone affected, especially the victim's family. That being said, we love Henry Ruggs and want him to know that. His terrible lapse in judgment of the most horrific kind. It's something that he'll have to live with the rest of his life. The gravity of the situation is not lost on anyone here, and we understand and respect the loss of life. And with that, I'll try to take your questions.
Rich, if there's any way that you can kind of put into words the emotions of these last couple of days, getting a call that you probably never want to get, and then also the decision to move on from Henry as quickly as the organization did.
To be perfectly frank, I don't really know if I can put into words the emotional feelings that, certainly I went through, and certainly I can't speak for our players or our coaches or our owner, our organization. I just know for me as a parent and a person that cares about young people and deals with young people every day, I really don't know if I could quantify what the emotions are. So with that being said, I think late last night or late yesterday afternoon, as time went on and the organization gained more information, I think you read our first statement, but I think as we all gained more information, certainly as Mark gained more information, I think our official team met upstairs, and I think we came to the conclusion, and owner Mark thought it best for the organization to do that at that particular time. So I think there's two separate entities. There's Henry Ruggs, the football player, which is no longer a part of the Raiders, and then Henry Ruggs, the person who is certainly going through what he's going through and is going to have to pay the consequences for the actions.
This year, the locker room between Jon Gruden's resignation and...
Can you just be a little bit louder, please?
Between Jon Gruden's resignation and this situation, the locker room has been through a lot. I know it's only been a day, but how have you seen the group sort of pull back together kind of in these challenging moments and attempt to move forward?
Well, I think they're two totally separate, entities, and so I felt like we moved on from what happened before, and we've had a chance to play 2 games, and now we've been confronted with this situation. And again, as grown men, we all have to respond in a certain way. We're all forging our identity in life, and certainly in the locker room, through how we face adversity and how we deal with adversity. That's kind of how life goes. So I think they understand that. We've had conversations about that, and for us as coaches and players, it's always good to get on the grass and grind through a Wednesday's practice in full pads, and now I'm here answering questions.
You've made a life and a living out of game planning, preparing for lots of variables, but this is as unpredictable as adversity gets. How helpless is that as a leader?
There's no blueprint for this. There's no handbook that they give you for the obstacles that you occur, whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're, my dad drove a truck. So there's no blueprint for these things. And I just think we all lean on each other in there. There's a lot of other coaches that we have on staff that have a lot of experiences. We have players that have gone through other things. So I think we've done a good job of communicating with each other. We've tried to give the best resources that we have to our players within Montel and Miss Jean and people at in their department, and then certainly what we've done as coaches. So again, we'll see how we respond to the situation we're in.
Coach, on the back end of that, even despite the tragic incident, how much of this can you turn this around also, like for you as a coach, but also the leaders in the locker room? How much will this be able to stress accountability amongst each other to really just hold each other accountable and make each other the best players possible on and off the field?
Well, we are involved in man building around here, and we do coach the man first and the player second. And again, we've talked about these things before they've happened, at length. I'm sure every team does, but again, put himself in a bad situation, made a choice that has certainly altered his life, and that's really where we're at. So I think they all know that. I think they've seen that. But we've seen it before, and obviously it caught up to us now. So I don't really know if I answered that, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Rich, with all due respect to the tragedy, setting that aside and getting to football for a second, for you, you get to go home to the team that your dad loved growing up. And can you just speak to the emotions of that? I mean, what a journey for you to be able to go back there to the team your dad loved
Yeah.
against them.
Yeah, I think I made a comment that first press deal. My dad was the head coach of the Giants. He just never told anybody, and I don't think anybody got that. I think they were Googling and seeing my dad was the head coach of the Giants. So fortunately for me, I've played against them a lot now. You know, when we were in Dallas, we obviously played up there every year, and when I was in Tampa, I had a chance to play up there. So for me, again, it's always exciting to go certainly home, but for us, it's a huge challenge, right? Coming off a bye, everyone's written about our record. Coming off a bye, haven't been very good here as of late, and you know, we're going to leave on a Friday, and we're going to go up there and play a big, physical, well-coached football team. So that's really more of the challenge for me than actually going home.
Rich, after releasing Willie Snead and Henry Ruggs, you guys only have, I think, 3 receivers on the roster right now. Have you considered either making a practice squad promotion or adding somebody from concern?
We've had conversations, and we have Stoner and Wims, and there's conversation about others as well. But we're going to probably stay status quo this week, and we know we have a chance to possibly move Stoner up, and then we have Wims that's done a good job. And we'll see how that turns out before the end of today is over. But it would be those two.
Coach, earlier today, Joe Judge was kind of speaking about the relationship that you guys have and said some things about you. What would you say is some things you admire about Coach Judge going to?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot about Joe. You know, I know his trip to Mississippi State and through Alabama, and the coaches he's had a chance to be around, and then special teams coaches in the league. You know, we kind of have a you know, maybe a special bond or certainly a connection because we go through the same obstacles. So the only thing I'd say about Joe is he's a tough guy, and he comes from detailed coaches, which makes him an extremely detailed head football coach. You can see it on film. They do a lot of things in the kicking game. They're well coached on defense, and then certainly I know a lot about, you know, Jason, being with him for 5 years. So my relationship with Joe goes back a long time. We have a lot of the same mentors that we've been around before. And so, again, I appreciate all his kind words, and whatever he said about me, if it was good, I just take them and rewrite them about him, if you could. That would help me.
Have you gotten a chance to talk to Henry?
No, actually, no, we have not. I don't even think anything happened until 9 o'clock this morning, so we weren't allowed to, or didn't have a chance to speak with him at all yesterday.
If you could speak to him, what would you say?
Yeah, I'll just leave that to when that happens.
Coach, when you gathered the team, either last night, I guess it was virtually, or today, around what was the mood, and how much of this week is managing them, kind of, you know, coming to grips with everything, but also getting ready for a game, and how do you kind of balance that?
Yeah, well, the first time we actually got our team together yesterday, late afternoon at 4 o'clock, we had a Zoom with the whole team. We thought it was important that we get on Zoom so they could kind of see our faces, see my face, and we tried to deliver a message. And at that particular point, what we wanted to do, there was so much misinformation out there. We were getting so many different stories that what we wanted to do was give them the facts that we had at that particular time. So if you go back to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that's what we did, to give them some sense of what's going on. Here's what I'm hearing. You know, a lot of players were texting and coming by the office and those things. So that's what we accomplished. And then certainly what transpired last night went into the release of Henry. And then this morning's team meeting, we addressed kind of what happened last night. We addressed some of the new information that had come out, which we thought would all come out at 9 o'clock this morning, which I think has. So they got a chance to see that. And then we just talked about what our charge is going forward, individually and then collectively, how we can put it together for a grinded competitive practice on a Wednesday, and what it'll look like in the meeting after practice, and then what it's going to look like when you go home. What does it look like when we come back in the morning? So we're just trying to stay, for the most part, you know, we're trying to be where we are and move through this as slowly as we possibly can, and as communicative with some clarity as to what we're expecting of each other as we keep moving forward.
Rich, some of your players have talked about when you coach them, you talk about seizing their opportunity, making the most when the opportunity comes. Is that kind of what you'll be emphasizing to a Zay Jones and some of the young receivers this week?
You know, again, those are great words and cliches and those things, but Zay's made a lot of plays, you know, in the games that we played in, and you know, people don't even notice, you know, what he's done playing flyer out there on the punt team, and he's on kickoff return, and so, you know, we had this conversation a week ago. Darren Waller didn't play. The only people surprised that Foster did what he did, I guess, was the media, because certainly no one in the locker room was surprised what Foster did. So we have a high expectation for what Zay can bring us, just like it's what he's brought us up to this point. So we're all going to get opportunities throughout the course of our, you know, careers and our time here. And again, it's how we respond to the opportunity given to us.
Let's do two more guys. Adam?
Well, Josh and Darren were practicing their
Yep, we're clean today. I was pretty fired up about that. So.
Coach, question about the captains. Did you specifically meet with each of them individually, and how have the captains kind of taken it upon themselves to meet with the different groups that they represent?
Yeah, and we actually had a unity council meeting on Monday before all this happened, and the captains are on that, and then there's other basically hand-picked players for myself that I met with. I think there's a total of 14 of them. So we actually had a lot of conversations about a lot of different things on Monday. After that, the expectation for the captains, they were voted on by their teammates. So our expectation for them would be in the locker room. There should be a lot of conversation. There should be a lot of chatter amongst each other. And we like to talk about positive self-communication in our locker room for them. No disrespect to anyone, but there's a lot of people that like to, you know, to push, and some of their questions may push them and some of those things. But I think in our locker room, we'd like them to be, have their comments or have their conversations be positive to some degree. If it's something they want to discuss that is negative, they certainly have the right to do that. That's their office, that's their home in there. And then, again, we have plenty of resources for them if they have questions outside of the realm of what we could help them with, or the captains or the guys on the council can help them with. We have plenty of resources to get them help that way.